I'm Christie Palmer.
I'm Frizzell.
And I'm Steve Brewer, asking you to tune into
MetroArts
on Detroit Public Television.
Hello and welcome to MetroArts. I'm your host, Shayna Clark. Here on MetroArts, we highlight some of the best in the business, from fine artists, photographers, performing artists, cinematographers, as well as musical artists, all from the Metro Detroit area. On today's show, we have creative director of Detroit Dance Collective, Barbara Selinger, producer of the film 13 Sign, Christie Palmer, and founder of the Matrix Theater Company, Shaun Nethercott.
MetroArts will now like to welcome Christie Palmer, Frizzell, and Steve Brewer to the show. And they're all key players in the film 13 Sign. Hi, how are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so the 13 Sign is a horror film. Can you tell us a little bit about the plot?
Well, the long and short of it is that it starts out in the 1930s. My character is one of several of the villains in the movie. However, I throw a little monkey wrench in everyone else's plans. What they're trying to do is they're trying to create a ritual based off the Mayans, the Mayan priests, in order to become godlike and basically immortal. When my character messes up their plans, they become trapped in time until they're released in the year 2012, and then they fight to kind of race against the clock of the Mayan calendar in order to achieve their final objective. And in the meantime, they need to get victims so that they can obviously appease the gods and do the ritual. And,
so you're a little bit of a villain.
Yes, I am a villain in it. And they utilize reality TV in order to bring their villains to them.
Okay. So what is everyone's role in the film?
I'm the producer of the film, and I'm also one of the casting directors, too.
Okay.
So.
I play Charles, the not so nice monkey wrench guy.
Okay.
And I play Katie Lewis. She's one of the 12 contestants brought on in the modern day reality show. And so I'm fighting for my life. I kind of bring that hysterical one in the room. That's who I am.
Okay, just while you're answering that, tell us a little bit about your days and starting to act.
I started back when I was 13, and I saw one of my cousins in a high school production that she was in, and that was it. I was hooked. I wanted to do it, and so I begged my parents for a really long time to find me a group to act in, and they found me the Dearborn Youth and Family Theater. So I acted and did musicals with them throughout my high school years, and then I just moved on to Wayne State after that and started studying theater and film and graduated in May with those. And so while I was in college, I just was working as an extra, and on one of the sets I was on, I met another actor who I just asked how he got on set, and he told me that he was with Christie and Phillips Donovan, which is an agency she is working and running. So I just looked him up, went in, and brought me the 13th Sign.
She was fantastic in it too. One of really seriously one of the creepiest roles, or one of the creepiest parts in it, in my opinion, is when there's a scene where she gets grabbed, and it just, to me, every time I see it, it just sends shit
across the face.
Oh yeah, she just really brought it. So it was, and it's just really creepy when you think about. To me, at least, that's when you don't know it's coming, and all of a sudden it's a quick
in and out. You're in and out.
And yeah, it was just phenomenal.
Great. Now, Christie, you own your own business.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I own Phillips Donovan Agency, which did the casting for the film, and then we own BCRS Productions, which produced the film, and then now we're starting Iconic Films in Macomb, and basically we're building sets, and we're hopefully going to be doing more features, hopefully some TV shows, even reality TV.
Some web TV.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So what makes the three of you guys get together to produce and direct a horror film?
It's just fun. I mean, the thing is that the idea of utilizing the hysteria around 2012 seemed to be just
Which is right around the corner.
Yeah, it just seemed
Scary.
So it's timely, and it just seemed ripe for a horror movie screenplay. And then when we were able to get some other people that are very, very involved in like horror type stuff, specifically two of our other bad guys are from the band Mushroom Head.
Waylon Rivas and Jeff Hatrix.
Oh, great.
Again, phenomenal guys. You see them on stage and you go, wow, these guys are just extremely talented. But then when you take them out of their comfort zone of performing in a band and put them in an acting situation, you don't expect them to be able to do to the level that they did, and they were just both phenomenal. Yeah. Jeff basically created the character from top to bottom that he played, and Waylon was just as charming and as evil as you can be all in one. It was really quite an experience to work with both of them. They were just phenomenal.
Now, Steve, how did you get your involvement in the film Margin Wars?
That was actually how I met Christie.
Okay.
And I don't even think you know this story. But I was driving.
She let me hear it.
I've made my living as a stand-up comic for the most part, all the way to having my own Showtime special. But I was driving back from a show, I think, in Wisconsin. It's a long, horrible drive. And my phone rings, and it's a manager of a club in the metro area asking me, it's Sunday, asked me if I could come in and do a show. I'm like, for what? She goes, she tells me that it's kind of an audition show for a movie that's going to be shooting in the area. I said, yeah, sure, I'll try to be there as quick as I can. So instead of going home, I basically went straight to the audition, not expecting much, really. And that turned into a really, really phenomenal experience. Not only did I meet Christie and get to work on Margin Wars, but then through that and through my experience there, I ended up on this film. And that is really where the experience has been just so rewarding. I've been able to not only be involved in the acting, but also in some of the post-production work too. So I've been able to kind of see both sides of the spectrum and actually work more in this area. So I've just loved it.
Okay. Now, for all three of you guys, as living in Michigan, how do you see it being the next Hollywood? Because a lot of films are being made somewhat here.
Right. It had the potential to become the next Hollywood.
Okay.
But
I say that it's full of, I think Hollywood will always be Hollywood, but I think Detroit has the potential to grow into something more. We just need to balance out the political side of it right now.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing is that when politics and art mix, it's just nasty. And unfortunately, the people that are making political decisions don't understand how this business works enough to understand what it's bringing to the not just the economy, but also to the people's feeling of self-worth. There's something about being on a movie set that, even if it's only for a day, and even if you're only making $50 for being an extra, you can then go several months later or a year later to the movie and see yourself on the big screen, and that's something you can't put a price on.
I cried the first time I saw myself on screen with my whole family there, and we interrupted it for everybody else because we're like, oh my God.
But you know what, though? That's the thing is that the politicians unfortunately took a very, very youthful business that was just starting to take root, and because of political decisions and not understanding the value of what the industry is for the state, they threw the baby out with the bathwater. So hopefully we'll have an
maybe
election
one day
and change
We'll get it back in.
It could be.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for joining us here on MetroArts. It was a pleasure from all of you guys. And thank you guys for tuning in to see the producers, the villains, the directors of the 13th Sign.
We're Fresh Air, and you're watching MetroArts
on Detroit Public Television.
MetroArts would like to welcome founder and executive director of the Matrix Theater Company, Shaun Nethercott. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here on MetroArts.
Thanks. I'm just happy to be here on a beautiful day like today.
So tell us a little bit about your mission statement.
Well, Matrix has a very unusual mission, actually, for an arts organization. Matrix uses the transformative power of theater to change lives, build community and foster social justice. And we create opportunities for children, for youth, for adults, for elders, but especially those people in challenged or isolated communities to become creators and producers and audience of theater. So what that means is that's a very broad mission, but really the core of it is that we use the power of creativity to bring transformation in our community.
Mm-hmm. And how did you start your company? Because I have to say congratulations, because you just celebrated your 20th anniversary on April 16th.
Well, we did celebrate 20 years, and it's sort of amazing to be doing that many, to do a theater that is so rooted in original work, and 139 productions so far. So how we started, really, we had come to Detroit, kind of fell in love with Detroit, and had been looking for a place to establish a theater that would be rooted in the creative process. And when we came to Detroit, we saw it as a land of opportunity. And there's such a vibrant arts community here. There was, of course, tremendously underserved community in terms of theater compared to places like Minneapolis, which has like 45 professional theaters. Detroit, I think, has a long ways to go before we get there. And, of course, the cost of living is very manageable. There's lots of places to do things. We renovated a building, an 1890 storefront in southwest Detroit. So really, we sort of started just with a dream, just with a wing and a prayer. We're not from here. We don't know anybody here. But we could see that this was a place where it could work, and it has.
Mm-hmm. And while coming here, what made you decide to put your company in southwest Detroit?
Well, there's a little bit of just good luck and fate in there, because that's where we first were brought in to work, and we really fell in love with the community. It's a very multi-ethnic community. It's a very vibrant community. It's a place where community relationships and community organizations are very, very strong. So those were some of the things that we were looking for, was a place where community was already existing. And because Southwest Detroit is right there on the border, there's a lot of input of information back and forth from Canada. It's also a community where new people come from all over the world. And so it's a very vibrant and alive sense of community, and that means that there's always stories present. There's always issues to be dealt with, and you want to be in a place where people are talking and generating ideas, and there's ferment, because that gives you something with which to create.
Which brings me to my next question. How do you feel that theater give a voice to the young youth and adults?
It's really transformative for young people. We've been working with young people since the early 90s, and right now we have an absolutely, utterly fantastic teen program. And I was just watching the teens. The teens, we have programs for all ages. We start kids at age 5. But by the time they get to be teens, they're writing, producing, performing original theater. And so at the beginning of the year, they did a thing called, they do a haunted theater every year. And what they did is they took, scary stories and rewrote them to modern context, Southwest Detroit context, and then stage it. And then right now, what they're really doing is looking at issues of cultural tolerance and diversity, and then they're taking the idea of the chorus line and rewriting the chorus line to deal with issues of diversity and tolerance. So they're doing the whole thing. They're being paid to be in shows, and so by the time you get done with the Matrix program, it's kind of like being the equivalent of an Eagle Scout. You've done it all. You've written it, you've produced it, you've performed it, you've been paid, you've taught, you're ready to go. And so we've got about 20 young people who are at theater morning, noon, and night, and who really, really own the creative process. They're all different ethnicities, all different ages. It's astonishing.
That's great. That's great. So what is your role exactly within the company?
Chief cook and bottle washer. No, so what I really do is, I started out as the founder, which meant in the early years I did a little bit of everything. My background is as a playwright, as a director, and as a puppeteer. But as the years have gone on, what I really have become is sort of like the chief educator and the chief fundraiser. I still am going to be directing. In fact, I've got an amazing show coming up in late spring called Ravenseed, which will be a giant outdoor puppet performance, site-specific, outside around Matrix Theater Company.
Okay. And then you had mentioned collective playwriting. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I can tell you focus on that a lot more.
Yeah, collective playwriting is a very unusual thing that we do, and it's kind of our specialty. Collective playwriting is fundamentally a process whereby you have a whole group of people working together to generate a script. Now, some of that is done by sitting. And some of that is done by improv, and some of that is done by, you being assigned to go do a piece and bring it back. Some of it is done by creative dramatics. We've got a new piece that we've just in the finished writing, and it will get its workshop production in March. Called Home Water. We went out and we gathered stories from throughout the entire community about water shutoffs in the city of Detroit. And there's like 40,000 people in the city of Detroit who've had their water cut off. And so from those, gathering all those community stories, we brought them back to the collective playwrights. And then out of that, we generated a new story, a new play called Home Water. And then it's a sort of a look at a specific family who is facing water shutoff and some of the, in this case, comic and ridiculous strategies they do to deal with that situation. But it's really based in a very serious and important issue.
Okay. Well, Shaun, thank you so much for joining us here on Metro Arts today. It was a pleasure, and we look forward. What are some upcoming events, actually? Well, the next thing up the docket is Home Waters, and then our teens have got Where I'm From, as I was telling you from, and then after that, Raven Seed, and then on to our summer program with all of our kids all the time at Matrix. So busy all the time. Okay, well, I wish you another 20-plus years of doing this great work at your company. Thank you for joining us here on Metro Arts. Thanks for having me. And thank you guys for tuning in to see Shaun Nethercott and her Metrix Theater Company. We would like to welcome the Artistic Director of DDC Dances, formerly known as Detroit Dance Collective, Barbara Selinger. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for asking me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Great. So tell us about your experience as a performer.
Well, I've had a lot of experiences. I actually started dancing when I was 3 years old. Typically, moms bring you to the studio for ballet, tap, and jazz. I had very wonderful mentors and teachers with very high standards and very encouraging, so that really made me want to dance more. But more serious dancing came a little bit later. I've always danced my whole life, but there was a time when I was working in the schools, actually. I actually do have a degree in, a bachelor's degree in chemistry, and I taught in the public schools. But in pursuit of a master's degree, I found Wayne State University had a very wonderful program that really fit my needs. So that's when I became more serious about dance. The dance department gave me the opportunity to work with professional artists. I had wonderful mentors there who were really encouraging. So that's when I knew that this is a career I really wanted to pursue for the future.
So what was the first dance moves that you started doing? Like, was it jazz? Was it tap?
As a young child, it was basically ballet. Ballet, some tap, and some jazz, but more ballet.
Okay, and then when starting Wayne State, you stayed with jazz and tap? Or?
No, when I started at Wayne, I actually started working in modern dance.
Okay.
And I loved, when I found modern dance, I knew that was my forte. That's where I wanted to go. So I not only studied at Wayne, I also studied with professional artists, particularly the Jose Limon Dance Company, and that's really where I've drawn a lot of my creativity and my own style of dance through that company. Limon is very humanistic in his style of dance, and I thought that was the right way for me to go.
Okay. So tell us about the DDC.
Okay, DDC was actually formed out of Wayne State University Dance Department. There were 4 of us there that enjoyed working together. So after we graduated, we did what the dance department always wanted their dancers to do, and we started our own company. But that was back in 1980. The company is a 32-year-old company, so we have lots of experiences. So the women that I worked with at Wayne, we all really liked each other's work, and we could work really well together. So there were 4 artistic directors when we first started the company.
Okay. And describe the power of dance, how it influenced your performances.
Okay. Part of our mission is that we believe that dance is a very powerful means of communication. We believe the arts are a powerful means of communication. And that is seen through the work. The work, I feel, touches people spiritually, emotionally. It touches their senses. Much of the work celebrates humanity, and we think that it's important for our audiences to bring themselves to our performances, bring their experiences, and enjoy and feel something when they leave. Some of the works are very provocative. They range from powerfully dramatic to humorous. So we have a wide range of repertory that we provide for our audiences and communities that we work with.
Okay, and so you dance for big crowds. What is that mind frame before you go out there and you dance? Like, what are you getting into?
It's really very exciting.
Okay.
But it's a concentration, pretty much. When you're dancing on a formal stage, you barely can see the audience, but you feel their presence, and we feel the power of dance. We want to communicate what the choreographer has in mind, and as an individual artist, what we feel we want to bring to the plate. But we prepare for that at length.
Okay.
We prepare in our classes, daily classes. We prepare as we rehearse the choreography as well.
So what do you tell that person that have not danced in a crowd, who is their first time going out there, if they're nervous? Like, what do you tell them to get into?
I just tell them to just have a little fun with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Basically it.
Because, you can be so nervous. And, do you look at the crowd, so you just never just...
Sometimes. I mean, we do quite a bit of performing for young people, children in the schools, in gymnasiums, where the students are sitting there right on the floor in front of you. And that's really exciting. I really love performing for an audience up close so that you can meet eye to eye and communicate in that way.
Okay, so as a pioneer dance company in Michigan, what makes your company different?
I really don't think we're that much different. I mean, we just have a lot more experiences than most companies. We perform, as I mentioned, for general audiences on formal stages and proscenium stages. We perform in the schools and in communities. We perform for people of all ages. Okay. And it's really important for us to bring dance and the arts to people of all ages. Young people are our future generations.
Absolutely.
Whether they ever become dancers or not, it makes no difference. We want them to enjoy the art form, become future audiences, advocates of the arts, and participate.
Okay, so for those who are interested in getting involved in the company, how can they?
Well, I mean, first of all, you need to get on our mailing list. Okay. You can go to our websites and see what's going on.
Tell them what's the website.
Our website is www.detroitdancecollective.org.
Okay.
So you could go on our site, you can join our mailing list on the site, you can look at some of our videos, some of our slideshows, our photographs, bios of the dancers. You can learn a lot on the website. And all you have to do is, give us an email, give us a call, and become involved. We not only want people to become involved in coming to our performances or perhaps our classes, but we always look for volunteers for our company.
Okay.
In today's economy, we need to have as many volunteers and supporters and advocates for our company as possible.
Well, thanks, Barbara, for joining us here on MetroArts today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
And thank you guys for tuning in. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's show, and I'd like to thank our special guests, Barbara Selinger, Christie Palmer, and Shaun Nethercott, for joining us today. I'm your host on MetroArts, Shayna Fields Clark, reminding you to always support the arts in your community.
Hi, I'm Daniel Dumas, one of the associate producers for MetroArts. That means I get to work with musicians, actors, fine artists, dancers, and other guests that we highlight each week on our show. We are always looking for guest artists, and information about that process is available at our website, MetroArtsDetroit.com. And thank you for watching our show on Detroit Public Television. MetroArts is produced at the Midtown Studio at Wayne State University.